Good day. My name is Paul Siegel. I'm the president of CandleCharts.com. I want to thank you for joining us, whether you're here live right now or if you're watching this via recording. We're very happy to have you here in our Markets of Choice session. Joining me tonight is Brian. Brian is one of our NISN certified trainers. He is only one of two people in the world that we have the title of NISN Certified Trainer, meaning he's only one of two that are able to teach on Steve Nissen's behalf. Today's session is all about markets of your choice. Now, when we sent out the email yesterday and we asked members or students of our CandleCharts family to submit requests, we received hundreds of markets to be analyzed. We're not going to be able to analyze every single market here today. Just due to time and Brian needing to go to bed at some point. But we are going to hit a variety of markets that Brian chose based on the requested markets that we did receive. Now, a couple of caveats here. First, even if your market is not being analyzed by Brian, we do strongly suggest that you watch to learn the analysis, how Brian is looking at charts, as well as learning to be able to apply to your charts. Also, a lot of times our students have learned from market analysis on charts that are not theirs, but perhaps they do believe that they would trade it in the future. What we're doing here tonight is very similar to what we call a strategy session that we host 2 times per week inside of our membership site called mycandlecharts.com. I will be, for those of you who are not already members, I will be posting a link that you could take advantage of a very special offer that we have to become a member of mycandlecharts.com. Again, strategy sessions happen twice a week, but we also offer many other things such as daily market recaps, Forex focus sessions, options outlook, access to special topics, and much, much more. So I do want to just encourage you one more thing. As Brian is analyzing all of these different markets, just realize what level of confidence this can do for you prior to entering, exiting, or not exiting a position on your own. This is very important, how you can certainly understand the volatile times in the markets, as it seems like breaking news is happening every other minute. So as markets continue to elevate and go up and down, we provide daily ongoing guidance. So without further ado, I'm going to quiet my mic so that Brian can come in and analyze many markets that were requested. Thank you for your attention. And again, I will be posting the link if you would like to take advantage of the special offer and join our family as a member of mycandlecharts.com. Brian, over to you.
Thanks, Paul. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Again, if you can, just raise your hand or something. That'll be great. And I think we already have a yes, so thanks for that. And Paul, just just keeping all the housekeeping in order. There's our risk disclosure statement, always found at candlecharts.com/disclosure. Again, this does talk about the possible risks of trading any type of security, and that includes things like options, which are applied against a different market as well. So again, make sure you understand those risks prior to placing your trade. Very, very important. And it applies to all of our countries that we do look at. So without further ado, somebody has asked for Nifty, and of course this is the stock market. And again, we can zoom out here miles and miles and miles. And again, this is pretty much like a lot of the American market as well. I mean, it has been a relentless upward traipse. And it's done amazingly well. As you can see in the middle here, there have been six, and wouldn't it be great if you could sort of see where a possible pullback was starting and look for some good support and resistance. So again, because this is an Indian market, I had to use a different platform. I don't have this hooked into NinjaTrader. But, so again, overall, there are a couple of things I did want to point out here. So zooming back, this is going back to 2017 and up to present. So you can see, again, we made a bit of a low there, and then we really took off. A little bit of a pullback here again for a little bit of support, and a higher high, much higher high here. And look at that, we came back to the same horizontal support. Very good. And then again, we sort of traipsed along up here, made a higher high again, but we didn't come down quite so low, but we came down to where we had this consolidation here, and then we've zoomed a bit more here. So let's get in a little bit deeper here. And if I was looking, I'd be saying, well, first things first, we got our stochastics at the bottom. Again, they're turned up quite nicely, quite sharp, which is good. We always enjoy that, and I hate to say it, but pretty much like the S&P, the diamonds for the Dow Jones, and a few of the other markets, you know, again, we had a little bit of a puke out the bottom here, and we've had 3 very forceful green candles this week. Certainly, again, you can see we had a little resistance here, support. Again, we're at a potential area, but the good news is, again, hey, you know, look, you've got your stochastics turned to the upside. So again, that's momentum is increasing in this market. We have closed today above the 9 and the 20 period moving averages. And, you know, here's a red high up here, so up towards 12,400. And if things continue as they have, you know, again, zoom back out, you can see again, the market has done very well. You know, we could possibly look towards higher highs, but nonetheless, look for sharp turnbacks. And again, this market, same as all the other markets, I would be, if I was going long this market now, or if I was long, as soon as we get a breakdown underneath these moving averages, I would be getting quite nervous and probably getting out of my position. And because again, we had a nice basing down here, down around the 10,800. I had a couple along the way here and here, but none of this is the more powerful one and the most recent one. So again, I would consider this to be a fairly strong area. So we could be down, coming up. We might be coming up a little bit higher, but we might need to relax a little bit more, and that might bring us down around the 10,700-800 area. So again, be careful. Watch those moving averages, and hope that this 9 period gets across the 20 very soon. Okay, there, I'm just going to put that one down and I'll bring up my other chart. So Paul, I know you gave me a lot of those choices, a lot of good things to look at tonight. So again, we'll go through a couple things here quickly. Again, we'll look at weekly on the euro versus US dollar. And so again, when we look at it, our weekly chart, and you know, we can zoom out as far as we want. We've come down from a lofty height of $1.40, and we're already down to $1, let's call it $1.10. Okay, so again, it has come down a long way, but what does that mean? Well, not a heck of a lot, to be honest. So you can see I've got a few other lines on here, and we have come down into this nice area down here. So made good basement down here, got some decent support here at this point in time. We shot up, we had a little pullback, and I thought that was good, a little bit of a break, and we came back up here. But there's your 50 period moving average. We didn't even get a close above that. We had a little bit of trading above the 50, but we didn't close above. In fact, we were getting a lot more upper shadows. And again, that was the concern. And sure enough, today, boom, there's your bear sash. Brings us right back down into this little area here. So all hasn't been lost yet, but it is a forceful candle so far. And again, that's looking at the weekly. Why don't we turn into, well, the stochastics, just so you know, we're going sideways here. So going in, and let me just clean off the nonsense. There we go. And there we are on the daily. So again, we've come up and we've come back down. In fact, it's made the M shape here, the good old McDonald's arches. But again, so we've come right into this nice old support area here. It was a forceful red candle today. Again, stochastics are still coming down. We are at single digits, and I do mean literally single digits of 4.38. So it is quite low. But again, should we get a close underneath this line here, then I'm really looking down here around 108 to 109, in and around that area for the next stronger support areas. So I hope that was useful for whoever asked for that. Always an interesting one. And I think we also had a request for GBPUSD. Here we go. Hopefully that's loaded up okay. We'll have a quick look on our weeklies and zoom out for you. And again, look at the pound sterling. We were up around $1.75. I say not that long ago, about 4 or 5 years, 6 years ago, and we did get down towards $1.20. So shocking. But now again, so we look at this, and so a couple of reasons why I want to leave it zoomed out on that level. Oops, and there we go. Made a good base over there, and basically we had a little bit of crack and snap right here where we started to come back up again. And there's our nice chart high. So again, we come down, did some good supporting in this area here, as we had on this side, dropped out the bottom, and we've come back up. to where we were holding at resistance here. And yeah, strangely enough, I've heard of, oh, people are buying and they're holding on and this and that, and then these are bankers. And it's like, well, okay, that's fine that you're doing that, but we are also right at some resistance right here. Well-tested resistance, and it goes back quite a ways, in fact, on both sides of this peak over here. Oops. So we'll take a look at the daily perspective, and there you go. Again, we have come up, and as I say, we made a nice basing down here. I like the bullhotomy. Wasn't quite a hammer due to the upper shadow, but then we shot up and a pullback, and we made a higher low. So again, that was bullish energy coming into the market, and we really shot up here. So it's not really a surprise that we came a long ways, bumped up, and we just really belong here at this point in time. And as you can see, what I'm doing here, drawing in a bit of a box range. Yeah, we had a little bit of a peak out here outside of the main box that I'm drawing here, but nonetheless, so far, we're in a box range, and it's a fairly tight box range. You know, we're on the daily candles right now. We're flipping sort of between 129 and 130, let's say 132. So there is room to make profit. However, you know, you look at these candles, you say, yeah, but by the time I had a decent buy signal, we were already turning around with a sell signal. Well, yes, so right now, not looking like a great time if you're trading the daily candles, of course. Stochastics, they are just bouncing along the bottom around 2021 and going sideways. So again, no clear direction just yet. So again, I would either be looking for a breakout to the bottom or a breakout to the top side. Need to see some good force, and as you see, sometimes you get a fake out. So again, watch out. Possible target here of 133, but I think, again, if we had another up there, well, then we can get up and go. So I just wanted to take a look at that. We'll flip back here to the weeklies, and there you go. So next point, we could sort of suggest in and around this area here, possible resistance of 136 area, and then after that, looking up in the 142, 143 area. Okie dokie, and GLD, and I know I had that on my list here, so there we go, get down into my good list much quicker. A lot of lines put on some of the charts here. Now, oh, actually gold, I did not put the lines on, but don't worry. Again, I'm gonna say it's a fairly simple market because I'm watching gold all the time anyway. So again, we just look at that, and this is what we do on our strategy sessions. You give us one that we haven't heard or seen of before, and we just start plunking the lines on and give you a little bit of a history and story as to why we're doing that. But again, you look at GLD, which is, it is an ETF. And well, what have we got right now? We have got stochastics that are falling down at a very sharp angle. So again, do be aware of that. That is important. And it could be a little bit of a shocker, again, because the momentum is dropping out of the market quite quickly. So, and again, this is on the weekly. And again, we do have an evening star that's developed at this point. Again, there's 2 more days in the week. So keep that in mind. These candles are not set in stone just yet. We have 2 more days before this completes. As you can see, we had resistance over here. We've got a little bit of support right there. So in fact, I'd throw in one more line and just sort of say, well, we are at some possible support. But again, we sort of look down here towards the 138 area where you can see better support that has been developed. And in, let's say, a week's time, 2 weeks' time, the 50-period moving average will be up around the 138 area. And I use the 50-period moving average, very, very powerful tool. So there we go, GLD. You can see again, risen up strongly there. That was last summer. We've done a lot of sideways activity now. So zooming in on this one, and well, had a lot of very, very small real-bodied candles, a lot of windows as well. And when we come up here, we get the red candles. When we rise up with a rising window and then we get a red candle, don't really like those. And sure enough, when we pulled back down into a support, that would be the good side of them, is that you come back down and you find a better place to enter. And sure enough, yeah, nice forceful candle. We pushed up and we pushed right back down into a support area on the daily side of things. From the weekly, we were talking about this area down here. Good support in this area, absolutely. We've been doing some oscillation here. We're sort of stuck in the middle right here. We're stuck in the Bollinger Bands. They're going sideways. So again, from your daily perspective, stochastics are still coming down. We've just entered oversold territory, which doesn't mean that we're going to stop going down. But certainly you can see, again, we get a little bit of red, a couple reds, a couple greens on either side, and the market seems to be a little bit choppy and doing its best to hold its own. Again, because we've got these two lines, support and resistance lines, we're in the middle of them, waiting for a breakout in either direction. And we don't have that yet, so we need to wait for that. And I think, again, you should consider something around here. Maybe moving up there just a pinch, just above the 142 area, so around 142.5, another potential support area because we had some good resistance in the middle of the chart. Okay, XLY. Okie dokie. Nope. Okie dokie, there we go. And again, we're zooming out as for what my data will allow at this point. Going back to 2014, boom. I mean, that's just been an absolute zoomer. So what are we looking at here? And a couple of things. And again, certainly on the strategy session, we do talk about the different Western technicals that we use. So for example, we've got our Bollinger Bands, we've got the 9, got the 20 period and the 50 period moving average. For myself, this is what I'm looking at here. And of course, our good old stochastics at the bottom. So hence I'm looking at this. Stochastics is turned to the top side. That's good. We have confusion here because the CCI is actually turned to the downside. However, again, on the weekly basis, very, very forceful candle today. And again, it looks like we've made a brand new high and we're closing at a brand new high. Very exciting time. Okay, and there we go. Couple things to consider. Again, yes, we had a rising window and we have a small red candle, but we are still closing at an all-time record high. In fact, yesterday, well, we were closing at the record high, at the record close. It looks like we were close to the all-time high as well. So again, 2 days in a row, we actually have made 2 consecutive new highs. Stochastics here are still burning the midnight oil, running to the top side, a good gap between the two lines. We're at 92.5. So again, we're very, very high on stochastics. CCI is confirming that, again, its market is still trending in the up direction, which you can quite clearly see. Again, we came down, had a nice support right on our 50 period moving average, and we've had a good bounce off of that. Again, I don't like red candles when we have a rising window and then close down, but as you can see, again, the market has been able to pull out of that and push a little bit higher. Again, I think we'll be looking and erring on the side of caution. Watch out for your stop losses. Hopefully you know what that is. And also consider where your take profit targets might be. So again, with this market itself, again, we're in record high territory. So we don't know where the target might be, but I will simulate one thing. Well, okay, there you go. If we line up those two, yeah, then we could be at it. And even if we do it slightly differently. So depending on how we use those two lines, we could be, well, we would have been at my target nonetheless. So it's the question of how much higher you expect to go. I like the lower shadow from today. That's the good news. But again, because it's a red body and because we had the rising window, we pulled back, a little bit concerned. And of course, we're at the upper Bollinger Band. So again, do expect some resistance in that area. And we might need to go a little bit sideways and allow the, there we go, there's your 9 period moving average. Allow that to sort of dot, and get back turned up. So again, that may take a few days, may take a week. So again, just watch out for that because again, the markets don't like to trade and close outside the Bollinger Bands in either direction, upside or the downside. Well, let's move on to Tesla. Since Paul mentioned about Tesla, we'll have a quick look at that. He's a bit of a funny guy, that guy, isn't he? Not Paul, the guy who runs Tesla. So there we go. And, we can zoom back and you can see again, I won't say that we came from the doldrums, but it was a cheap stock. On the weekly basis, again, you can see oscillating a lot sideways, a lot of opportunities within this. And then again, that's something else that we would consider and talk about on our strategy sessions. And of course, with options as well, we would consider, possible entry points and possible take profit points as well. A lot of good information on the Wednesday night when I do the options outlook. So what actually did happen with Tesla this week, and we got up to a high of 968.99, and so far that's turned into a shooting star. Stochastics, hello, we got ding, 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 we got to wake up to that. CCI going sideways, stochastics have turned over. I'd like to see another day or two to see that those lines break apart from each other, but nonetheless, it has turned to the downside. So let's just zoom in here. Okay. And don't you just hate it when these stocks do that? I mean, they've come up so high again, they got into real uncharted territory. So, I mean, look at the force on this candle. Beautiful, beautiful force. But again, 50% of that candle was outside the upper Bollinger Band. And there we are on, well, that's yesterday. So we had a rising window. We've got a lot of upper and lower shadow. Again, a lot of concern because of the height, the lofty heights that we were. This is well overextended and it has to get back inside the Bollinger Bands, or the Bollinger Band has to get outside it, but it's not going to go and get outside this one. So again, as you can see here, we've had the big red candle today. We've got inside that Bollinger Band. We do have a rising window there. We've got a rising window here. Windows do like to close 80% of the time. So again, there's 3 rising windows that we've got right there. There's a 4th one, 5th one. Again, this is a market driven a little bit by news and hype as well. And of course, they have been doing well. So bless him for the good job that he has been doing. But again, the market likes to be closer to our 9-period moving average. So yeah, it did blast off. Has to come back in and around the 9-period moving average, and now they're approaching that area. The question is, what is it going to do next? I'd be looking now over the next couple of days for a bullish signal to indicate possibly that it's going to continue in the upward direction. But so far, again, we had that force on Monday. Uncertainty yesterday, and the counteracting force today. So really, we've negated most of this whole week's transaction. I mean, we've made a slight higher trade since Friday, if you will. But again, we've got to be conscious of where that 9-period moving average is. It's very, very important. And of course, we're looking on the daily chart here. There's your stochastics. It's turning down quite sharply. So again, a little bit of concern there that a lot of the momentum has come out of the market. So again, initially, yeah, maybe looking down towards, I hate to say it's 650, especially when Paul had mentioned somebody was looking at 1,000. But yeah, looking towards the 650 area for possible consolidation. And let's see if we can make consolidation there. If we don't, I mean, where I've got the blue lines down here, that was around the 400 marker. Again, we may do a little consolidation here. It's hard to say because it is so skewed at this point. We'll need a couple more weeks to sort of determine. But again, which side of the moving average are we on? As long as we're on the top, that is bullish. As long as we're closing on top of the 9-period moving average. Again, if we get underneath that, then I start to have concerns that the market is weakening. I look towards the 20 and then towards the 50. So markets can do some crazy, crazy things, and we've got to be careful. Man U, I don't think that's Man United, but there we go. We'll zoom out a bit more. There we go. Here we are on our weekly charts again. Not bad. So far, so good for this week. Again, a forceful bull session. You can see stochastics turning up quite sharply. CCI is contradicting at this point. CCI operates a little bit quicker. So again, it's come down because of these red candles, but it hasn't quite clicked and turned up. So I'm a little bit surprised at that. But again, we did hit that 50-period moving average on the weekly charts. And again, we talk about the different time periods and how to use them together. So again, we'll throw a little line in there. We'll throw one in there. And we had some support in and around this area, around here. Let's get over to our dailies and take a look here. Yeah, and I'll say, yeah. So there you go, MANU, M-A-N-U. Again, looks like we made a nice low there, a little bit of a crack and snap, retested. I love that retesting. And again, rising window and a very forceful drive in the upward direction. And we came back to our 50 just underneath it, and we pulled up to the 20. But again, look at all that upper shadow right as we hit the 20-period moving average. So we're closing at it just under the 20, but we've got a lot of upper shadows. Again, there is weakness indicating in this today. And I think one more thing that we could consider, yes, stochastics is turned up. Okay, we're entering overbought territory. And again, we did mention the upper shadow there. We do have the 20-period moving average there. Look at your Bollinger Band. It's coming down at a fairly sharp angle as well. The lower Bollinger Band is more or less going sideways at this point in time. So again, Bollinger Bands try to, again, fit around the market. And so far they're saying, well, the market has been driving in the down direction. So the upper Bollinger Band does have to come down. So there are multiple ways to trade this. But again, this is certainly not a buy signal today because we've got way too much upper shadow. If we did go higher, I'd be looking towards the $20.50 area. That's a nice potential target area. But certainly we have a weak candle of the day. And again, that gives me concern that maybe we need to come back, pull back towards 19. And of course, we haven't closed this window either. It's a fairly large rising window. So again, do consider just underneath 18, and if we draw a line across here as straight as I can, around 1675. So in and around the area, good possible support. But yeah, so we've come down nicely. We've bounced up again with weak candles. And the question is, do we come down or do we just keep sort of scoping up? So again, and just so you know, and I know Paul will reconfirm this as well, and Sil and Steve, we try to provide information based upon high probability trades and high probability setups. So again, if I had been looking at this, let's say on Monday, very forceful bull sash, we were just underneath the 9, but we were closing in and around the 50 period moving average. It was looking like a good possible buy, and it came up for 2 days. Great. But with the weak signals that we're getting here, a little bit of concern. Right, let's move on to RAD. Paul, I hope we still have enough time. And RAD. Okay, so again, here's another one. I won't call it a penny stock. We were in around 180, good grief. And we've really bottomed out on this one. So we've come down in and around the $8 to $14 range. Stochastics are turning up, which is good. And let's move on to the dailies. And again, I do look for stocks that have nice candles. If you don't see them, you don't have to trade, or at least you don't have to trade that market itself. So if we threw a line up there for possible resistance, it's nice. This one is nice. It's turned out decent at this point in time. And the reason why I'm going to say that is we shot a rising window there, split right through the 50 period moving average, came up high. That's the sort of the stopping point of the green candle. And as I say, I don't like it when we bounce up and then close with red. Again, we had a falling window and we fell down and fell hard right onto the 50 period moving average. Yeah, we've been getting, a little bit of bullish engulfing in here, a couple of them, but we're only just barely getting across the 9 and not really above the 20 period moving average, which is sort of sunk down right into that area. Look at your Bollinger Bands, they're exceptionally tight. Wait for a forceful entry, and again, whether it's a forceful to the downside or forceful to the upside. And again, if you're trading to the side, that's what options are for. We look at something called puts. If you want to know more about that, we talk about that on Wednesdays. And of course, it's calls going to the upside, different option strategies that you can use possibly to take advantage of large or small movements of the market. That was a bit of a funny one. Here we go. Let's move on to MS. There we go. Quick look here. And there we go on our weeklies, and pretty good, isn't it? Again, a stock that moves and has volatility, that's where the money is made. I'd throw another one down there. So again, we look at this one on the weekly basis. Stochastics is interesting on this one because again, we did drop and now we're going sideways. We only came down to around 44 and we've turned sideways. Market came up, but again, we came up to a resistance area. So again, a bit of an alarm bell. Even though we had that forceful green candle, again, we were outside the upper Bollinger Band, 2 days of red, Monday, Tuesday. Today we've got the bull sash, but again, do be mindful of that area. It's going to be very, very important. Sorry, that's 2 weeks, 2 weeks of red. So there, now we're on, so again, there we go. And what have we got here? Again, unfortunately, weak candles, very, very small real-bodied candles. So we don't have a clear driving direction. Yes, stochastics is turned up. And in fact, the one thing that we do have down here at the bottom that we could show you, which is kind of interesting as well, bullish divergence. Stochastics made a higher low here. The market was still making lower lows there. So it is interesting. And so far, the market has proven itself. It has diverged from the stochastics and it has shot up. And again, we can see a couple of falling windows here, a little bit of consolidation here, miniature, but nonetheless right in and around where we are right now. Yeah, nice target would be 57.50, but again, we've come into a possible resistance area. And we don't have a nice clear direction on this market just yet. If you're in this one, yeah, I might hold on if I was long this and hope and pray, maybe light a few candles tonight that we get up towards the $57, $58 mark. But again, look at what happened when we did that once before. Again, we sort of weak candles and we started to fall. Luckily, we have closed that rising window there, and that's the good news. So we do have a couple, there's a falling window there that needs to be closed, which is almost going to be closed. But again, we are making an attempt at it already. Could act as resistance. So again, watch out for that. And of course, the all-time high up here. And Paul, do we have time for one more, Paul? TGT, one, maybe two?
Sure, let's do one more, Brian.
Okay, we had one more stock, TGT. I was just going through to try and pick some out. And this one's got some good volatility, good oscillation, and isn't that nice? Again, that's how you make money. And we'll throw a quick line up there just for the high. So again, there we go. Stochastics, and this is nice when you see this on the weekly chart, and that's why it's important why you check out your weekly charts as well, because again, stochastics came down quickly and hard, and it looks like it's trying to make a quick turn here. We're just about ready to cross, haven't quite done it yet. Got a couple more days to finish off, and we can turn that bull sash into hopefully a bigger bull sash, right? So go into our dailies. There we go. Okay, we'll make that bigger. Looks a little bit better, doesn't it? So again, had a nice support area right in here. You can look at this resistance line again, had the window right in here. Well, we came back down, we've closed that window, a little bit underneath the window, and now we've popped right back above the 9-period moving average, and we've got a green candle. Isn't that nice? Still underneath the 20-period moving average. So again, watch out for that to be, again, a bit of an area. And the other reasons, because again, we've got some horizontal resistance there as well. Do have that falling window, and I would be watching out for that 50-period moving average. Again, this is the market of late where, again, you look at a lot of the candles and they're really, really small. Hard to find a nice trend. Now, yes, stochastics is turned up. That's great. We do have bullish divergence. Market was making more lows. Stochastics were making higher lows, which is good, but we have already turned up. So again, be cautious of that. And as I say, there's your Bollinger Bands as well. So the market, as a general rule, he isn't going to be just busting right through the Bollinger Bands. It will come up against it and it'll push gently outside and start to turn the Bollinger Bands. But again, when we look at this one so far right now, that Bollinger Band is heading in the down direction, and that we're just extending that. So as the market comes up, that will start to eke it up a little bit. And if we come up a little bit higher, that'll eke it up a little bit more. So again, do watch out for that. In windows, we're in volatile times. Treat windows with respect. Again, they're very, very important to respect them. Markets like to try and close, but then afterwards, so 80% of the time they try and close the window, and then 80% of the time they will then continue in the direction of the window. Well, this is a falling window right here. So again, potentially looking back down towards 106 initially, but we still have to get up here and get a signal yet. So far, it is looking bullish, but as I say, just watch out for those resistance points. Okay, Paul, if you're there, then we can take some questions and answers and see what people think.
Very good, Brian. As always, I want to thank you for your time and dedication to educating people on the use of candles. At this time, if you do have any other questions, we're not going to do any more markets, but if you do have any questions for either Brian about any of the analysis that he did, or for me regarding anything else, I'd be happy to stay on just for a minute or so. And again, I did post the link. We do have a very special offer to become a member of mycandlecharts.com. I know we sent out an email earlier today, and we've already had multiple people signing up. The process is, just so you're aware, once you sign up, you become a member immediately, and you'll be able to access mycandlecharts.com, which means you might not be able to see any live sessions today, as we just finished. However, you can certainly go in and watch recordings of today and be ready to go for tomorrow. So we have a lot of different features that we just didn't have the time to talk about today, but we do have Forex Focus, Options Outlook, Daily Market Recap, a chart challenge that happens every week, strategy sessions, and many other things.
And a few barking dogs in case you wanted.
Exactly. Sorry about the dog, folks. So the link is there. If you have questions about the special offer that we are offering to anybody around the world, again, we have students from 85 different countries. So we do help students and traders, whether they're looking at markets all day long or just not all day long, and they only have time after work or before school or anything else. So with that, I'd like to thank you so much. Brian, thank you again, as always.
Yeah, pleasure. And Paul, just by the way, we do have one quick question here. Could the euro US dollar bounce at support? And I'm going to say, yeah, I mean, and I don't want to sound silly, anything is possible, but yeah, and that's also one of the reasons, again, we want to be careful as the market is trading down. I'm just waiting for my chart to come back up. There it is. So there's the euro versus US. We've come down to a nice support line. In fact, I've had that line on there for quite some time. If I draw that over a little bit further, maybe we need to adjust it a little bit. We're at a support. We could immediately turn and bounce right up. Absolutely. And we could be heading up towards the 112 and maybe above. And again, this is the exciting thing that we get into on strategy sessions during the week. You know, we had a nice low here. We came up. We made a higher low here. We've retested it here. Well, maybe that's the go time. We need to wait for a signal though. Still lacking that signal at this point in time. So we still have a little bit of a question mark as to what's going to happen. Hope that makes sense. Okay.
Very good.
My
Brian,
pleasure.
thank you again. Thank you to the students that are here live. Thank you to those that are watching via recording. And again, we look forward to seeing you as a member over at mycandlecharts.com. Thank you.
Ciao. Bye-bye, guys.